Okay, so Shavua Tov. Nice to be back. Hope you had an amazing Shabbat. And we're getting ready for Lag BaOmer. I don't know if you know about it, but this month is like the vibes of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and Meron and Lag BaOmer, and you feel it in the air, especially here in Israel. It's like the talk of the day. How are we gonna get there? What are you gonna do? Are you gonna sleep over? Are you gonna find a place to stay in Tzfat? Buses? So it's a whole thing. And this year is hectic because it's on Friday. And if you recall, 4 years ago was the tragedy in Meron where 45 guys were squished to death, and it was on a Friday. And that's the fear when it's on a Friday. So everybody comes at the same time because it's Erev Shabbat. You want to get back home on time and everything. So everybody comes at nighttime, like Thursday night to midnight, 1, 2 in the morning, early Friday morning, and it's super crowded. So they're hoping that they learned the lesson from the 4 years ago, and it's gonna be organized in trafficking, how the people will be, and everybody will get a chance to daven and to dance and to sing and to eat. It's really, really amazing. I don't know if you've ever been to Meron Lag BaOmer, but it's something you never see in anywhere in the world. They say about in and out, about almost 1 million people come there on Lag BaOmer, and the music is out of this world. The spiritual uplifting feeling is out of this world. The joy is out of this world. The food is great. Whatever. The davening is amazing, and it's just something very. It's like an experience of a light of a tzaddik above your level, which is what we're going to talk about today. Believe it or not, that's the next section in the Likutey Halakhot that we have to go into is about the Tzaddikim. But here you actually feel it. You feel uplifted by being close to Tzaddikim, and you begin to realize how much you need Tzaddikim in your life. It's basically based on one fundamental teaching from the Midrash. I think it's the Yalkut Shimoni and elsewhere. On the verse reads from the Shirat Hayam, what we say every morning in Shacharit, the song of the splitting of the Red Sea, Shirat Hayam. So it says in the opening verses that after the Jews eyewitnessed the splitting of the sea, the closing of the sea, the drowning of the Egyptians, all these amazing things, the tons of miracles that happened. So the verse reads, Vaya'aminu b'Hashem uv Moshe avdo. And the Jews believed in Hashem and Moshe, his servant. Right? Simple meaning, they believed in God, their Emunah and Hashem was strengthened. And also they believed in Moshe. Moshe, whatever you tell us to do, we believe in you. What after all the miracles of leaving Egypt and the splitting of the sea, for sure we believe you. Okay? That's the pshat, that's the simple meaning. The Midrash says like this: whoever believes in Moshe, his servant, so automatically believes in Hashem. So the verse reads from the end to the beginning. In other words, you believe in Hashem because you believe in Moshe, his servant. And the Midrash continues, whoever doesn't believe in Moshe, his servant, then you should know he doesn't believe in Hashem. Crazy. That the only way you access belief in Hashem is through the Tzaddikim. Number one, they're the ones who teach us the Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu taught us the Torah, the Gemara, the Zohar. There's a Tzaddikim talking to us, and they're telling us about Hashem. You can't expect and assume a person who grew up alone on an island, he'll come to figure out on his own about God. Avram Avinu was unique in that. Avram Avinu, everyone was idol worshippers, and on his own had to find out about Hashem through his kidneys. The Gemara says his kidneys gave him guidelines. They pushed him through the pain in the kidneys. He knew hot, cold, like that game when we were kids. Hotter. You're trying to find something lost, so you do hot, like you're very close. Or cold, right? That's the exact same thing with Avram Avinu. That's how his kidneys were working, causing him pain if he was off, and making him feel good if he was closer. That's Avram Avinu. But you can't expect every Jew to have that gift. You need to be taught Torah. By who? By Tzaddikim. Teaching what? The words of the Tzaddikim, the Torah. It's Hashem's words, but it's to the Tzaddikim. So this is something very fundamental. People overlook this. They tend to overlook this. They say, I have my art scroll set, I have my local rabbi in the shul, I have my shul, I don't have to go crazy looking for tzaddikim. The answer is no. You're going to need tzaddikim big time. Because like Rabbi Nachman teaches, the tests you're going to be facing in life are going to be so above your level, that you'll have no choice but to look for a higher force to deal with them. And the obvious positive and proper solution is finding tzaddikim. Other people don't know what to do. They go to this psychiatrist, they go to this hooji booji voodoo, whatever, or they go to take drugs to go on a different plane to get out of their problems. People don't do the right decisions. Fortunate is the person who goes to the tzaddikim and they give that person the guidelines what to do to make the right decisions. B'ezrat Hashem. This is what the verse is teaching. Belief in the tzaddikim gives you the belief in Hashem. They teach you. Who teaches you to talk to Hashem? Who teaches you to daven to Him? Who teaches you to trust in Him? Who teaches you to do good, to do mitzvot? What's good? What's considered good? What's considered wrong? It's the Torah, but through the tzaddikim. Hashem used Moshe Rabbeinu to write the Torah. And then the Gemara was written by all the Tanaim, Amoraim, and the Midrashim, the Halacha, everything is from tzaddikim. They tell us what's right, what's wrong. I know what's right, what's wrong. Based on what? Based on what you saw on ABC News and television and Batman. Based on what is your perspective in life? Where you get it from? You got it from the secular world, from the Gentiles, all right? So we got to wake up and realize, hey, maybe my perspective is not okay. I have to be retaught everything from A to Z from the Torah, starting at Bereshit, Chumash, Rashi, whatever. So this is the tzaddikim. This is something very powerful. So going back, like I said, this is Rabbi Shimon's month, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, outstanding tzaddik, outstanding caliber, and you probably have heard the famous teaching that Rabbi Nachman and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, I'm going off, but this is like very, very pertinent. I hope you guys are okay with this. These two tzaddikim are very connected, both on what the level they spoke, the ramifications of their teachings, of the far extent, because you have tzaddikim who deal with pshat, dialectics and details and techniques in the Gemara and Halacha, so it requires a lot of brain power and understanding and focus, and you have big Torah scholars who show their grasp, which is unbelievable, okay? And then you have tzaddikim who are more into the world of midrash, of they know how to get to people, talk to their emotions and everything. Then you have the Kabbalists who try to go in the dimension of Kabbalah, showing through gematrias and the secrets of everything. And then you have tzaddikim who they speak on such a high level that automatically everybody can find themselves in their teachings. And this is number one, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and Rabbi Nachman. So what's interesting about these two tzaddikim is their names have the same numerical value. Shimon Yochai, take out Ben, whatever. Shimon Yochai is 501, and Nachman Simcha, Rabbi Nachman's father's name was Simcha. Nachman Simcha is 501, showing that these two tzaddikim, they work together. Both made statements that they can help the whole world. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said in the Gemara, and it's in the Zohar, that I can exempt the whole world from judgment. What a statement. We're here suffering with reward and punishment, going through crazy things in our life. We don't know if we're going to make it. We don't know how Hashem views us. We don't know if we're going to make it through the day of judgment. If when we leave this world, if we're going to be okay. Are we going to Gan Eden? Or are we going to be finished? We don't know. And comes along a tzaddik, I can take care of you. What in the world? When you think about it, it's unbelievable. I can take care of you. I can exempt the world. Just you have to be connected. It's some connection. Rabbi Nachman, a similar statement. He said, anybody who comes to my grave and says the 10 chapters called the Tikkun HaKlali, gives a coin in his memory, takes upon himself to try to be a good Jew from now on, he promises to pull a person out of hell, out of Gehinnom. No matter what a person may have done, the worst things possible, he can pull him out. That's unbelievable. These statements are unbelievable. To remind us, we need tzaddikim. On your own, good luck. Good luck. I got my art scroll books. I got everything. Everything's translated today. I don't need a rabbi. I have everything online. Like they say, they have a joke. You have Google. Ask any question. Today it's really ChatGPT, but like 10 years ago, it was Google. So they call Google Hador. Google Hador, like, Gadol Hador, the great rabbi of the generation. So today we have Google Hador. Ask a question to Google, he answers everything. You just ask a question, you get everything over there. But we need tzaddikim. B'ezrat Hashem. All right, that was just an intro for the time period we're in. And I don't know if you noticed, but from the Hey Iyar, the 5th of Iyar, which was Shabbat, which historically has a lot of meaning, by the state of Israel perspective, the Zionistic perspective. This is the founding of the state of Israel, right? Eretz Yisrael has always been here. The land of Israel and Jews have been here even before 1948, 1848, 1748, the Arizal, etc. We've been the land of Israel. But the Zionistic state, that now that's an official state recognized by the nations, etc. So that happened on the 5th, that started on the 5th of Iyar. The 5th of Iyar is also the day Rabbi Nachman entered Uman, his place that he passed away, which he said a lot of the many worlds and worlds were dependent on his traveling from Breslov to Uman to pass away. He passed, and that the day he entered Uman, which was considered like a turning point in his life and for the world, was on the 5th of Iyar. If you notice, the 5th of Iyar begins in the Nefilat Omer counting from 20 on, the 20s. The 5th of Iyar was 20, then that was like a Friday night in the Nefilat Omer, 20, then Saturday night was 21, okay, 22. We're in the 20s now. 20 is Gematria Kaf. Kaf, the letter Kaf, connotes the concept of the keter, which Rabbi Nachman discusses, and Rav Nosson goes into this discourse, lesson 24, Likutey Moharan, which this lesson is based upon. And the whole attitude of the keter is in and out, unclear, like we spoke about, mate vela mate, reaching and not reaching, advancing and then being smashed, being connected to the infinite light, and then out, like we spoke about, the idea of numbering, why you have to connect the numbers to the infinite one. That's why it's dangerous to count Jews. That's why, but Nefilat Omer is a mitzvah we went into, if you remember, that the in and out attitude is unique to the concept of the keter, and meaning that in your life, when you get hit big time, when you get smashed, and you're so frustrated because you're trying to do good, you're trying to be good, you're trying to do good ambitions, and then you feel, Hashem, what did I do wrong? Why these setbacks in life? And it causing a lot of frustration, and you're expected to accept this through Emunah, that this is the process, that I don't understand what's happening, and I feel like they took the carpet from under my feet, and yet there are times I'm advancing, and then they push me back, and you're frustrated. So Hashem, decide, what am I? Am I holy, or am I in the impurity? This game is killing me, Hashem. I'm in and out, in and out, in and out. Enough, Hashem. How much can I handle? But this is the attitude of the keter, and showing that a person, that if you are going through those situations, you should be extremely happy and proud that you're at that level. Wow, I'm already at the level of the keter, that I have ins and outs. If now I was just a Joe Schmo, like a nobody, regular guy, living my wake up in the morning, go to work, come back at night, eat supper, watch the newspaper, and go to sleep on the next day. And I was just like a regular, what's it called, status quo and routine person. There's no keter there, no keter. Those people are just living, and they're like sleeping while living. There's no keter in their life. It's like dead. They wake up in the morning, go to work, this, that, boom, boom, boom. Even religious Jews, they have the schedule of going to work, and then they learn their daf yomi, whatever, and they go home, and this and that. And everything's like, status quo, dead. So it's because people are not accessing the keter. But the people who are going through such ping pong, oh my God, Hashem, what do you want from me? It's only because these people are now connecting to the higher existence, connecting to the infinite light, Bezat Hashem. So this is the way it happens. So in this sphere accounting, what's funny is that from the Hey ER, the 5th of ER, which starts the 20s, in the sphere accounting of the 50-day schema until Shavuot, so these days of the 20s correspond to the keter. And it's no wonder there's so much frustration around the incidents which began on the 20th of the sphere accounting, which is the 5th of ER, when people are pro-Israel, anti this and that. It's so frustrating. You don't know where you're holding. Showing us that these concepts of the Holy Land today, and all the things that people are going through, people, would think, let me just live a normal life, but Hashem doesn't make it that. They have to go through such setbacks and difficulties and drugs and this and that, and everything's like so messed up, childhood trauma, all these crazy things, to show to the person, you're now in the domain of the keter. Meaning, you have to strive high and settle for nothing less. You have to go for the keter and realize there's ins and outs, okay? So with that said, Rav Nosson at this point, he's going to now more make firm and solidify these concepts he spoke in the previous section, okay, about the difference between the numbers and the concept of being above the numbers, which is the infinite light. And there's a bridge. There's a bridge. Not everyone accesses the bridge. He's going to explain now what is the bridge, who accesses the bridge, and he's going to develop this more and more and more. And as Rav Nosson develops, he's going to go into more and more details, and you're going to flip out seeing how this is so pertinent to life. Okay? So we're now, again, Likutey Halakhot, section Nefilat, Orach Chaim, first section of the Shulchan Aruch. Nefilat Apayim, the laws of falling on one's face after the Shmoneh Esrei prayer. Discourse number 4, paragraph 16. We're now just continuing the second section in paragraph 16. So Rav Nosson, after we explained everything so far, now let's go into what he says. Kizeh Yadua. Because this is a known, the following is a known concept, a known idea. And you have to have it clear in your head. That what? Hashem Yitbarach hu lema'ala mehaminyan v'hamispar. Hashem, blessed be He, is above counting and numbering. The whole idea of counting and numbering systems, Hashem is above that. We already have a question. So if that's the case, what does it mean when we say every day, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad? Here is Hashem is the Lord, Hashem is one. By you saying Hashem is one, the number one indicates numbering. Because if it's now no numbering, so there's no number one. When you say one, so that indicates that there's also a 2, there's also a 3, by just saying one. Because if there's no numbering, don't mention one. Don't mention one. If you're mentioning the number one, so it's an indicator that there's going to be a 2, there's a 3, because you already started the beginning point of numbering. So what is it that you're saying? Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. You're saying, Rav Nosson just said now, Hashem is above the numbering, above the system. So the explanation is, B'ezrat Hashem, from our perspective, we can't grasp Hashem any other way. We have to call Him one, the singular unit, but in essence, Hashem is above one. But from our perspective, we're so into the constriction of numbering and systems and the universe, the world, which builds on 1, 2, 3, already from the beginning. There's day 1, day 2, day 3. Every day of creation had a number, day 1, day 2, day 3, and also had creations in it, unique differences. Okay? So we're already coming from the perspective of numbering, and yet for us, we want to try to connect to Hashem. The only way we can do it is we call Hashem one. But in essence, Rav Nosson is saying that Hashem, His essence, is above numbering. He created numbers, so you can't call Him a number. You can't call Himself Hashem, He's a one. We say Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, because we want to make a point that the two attitudes that we see of God, Hashem and Elokeinu, which is lordship, which is when Hashem is tough with you, like a lord, and Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, is Hashem's compassionate side. So I see, God forbid, a duality. I see 2. So in that we say Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. You should know that even the lordship, the toughness that Hashem is with you, is really rachamim. It's really rooted in Yud Kei Vav Kei. So we're saying Echad to show that the different perspectives we have of God, they're all one. But it's from our perspective. Hashem Himself, He's above the one. He's above even that. Okay? So again, Kizeh Yadua, for it is known, Hashem Yitbarach hu lemala mehaminyan v'hamispar. And Rav Nosson brings a proof to this idea from the Sefer Yetzirah. Sefer Yetzirah, the book of formation, chapter 1. So it says there's an amazing statement. Lifnei echad ma'ata sofer. Before 1, what do you count? The statement is very deep, but it's, there's something here. It's saying, okay, there's a 1, number 1. Okay, and what before that 1, what do you count before? So the Sefer Yetzirah is indicating, if you say there's a number 1, so there has to be something which is before 1. Because 1 itself indicates a creation. It's a number, it's a creation. Numbering in itself is part of the creative format. So the Sefer Yetzirah is saying, what do you count before 1? You can't count. So if that's the case, then and Hashem is above everything else. So He's in the domain of Ma. Ma tasofer, where do you count? It's what? There's no number. It's unimaginable. It's unfathomable what's before number 1. So this Rav Nosson is saying this is the idea that Hashem is above 1. Because He's the one who started it. If you say there's the Sefer says before one, what do you count? By just saying that statement, I indicate there's something before numbering. Not -1, not -2. There's like a 0, and in that 0, what is there? It's like a level which is beyond our comprehension to get into. Okay? So this is Rav Noson's first establishment. Hashem is above numbering. This is his proof to what he said in the previous paragraph. How numbering is the side of death. That's what's used for, that's why it's forbidden to count. And above that is the infinite light of Hashem, which is above numbering. Okay? V'chol ikar haminyan v'amispar shehi bechinat ribui. And now the whole essence of the concept of counting, minyan, and numbering systems, shehi bechinat ribui, that automatically connotes the concept of multiple, many, which you said is the idea of creation, and Hashem is above the many. He's a single unity, which is even now, based on this, is even above one. But it's a unity even above one. It's like there's many in this creation. And we said by making the indication of a number one, that's already an indicator that there's a ribui, that there's a multiple. By saying one, you indicate that there's a possibility of many. And if you don't want, so don't say one. There's no one. So where does that take place? Before one, which is Hashem's unity. Okay? So again, the concept of numbering and counting systems, which is the concept of many, matchil achar habriya. All this starts after creation. Okay? After creation. And if you remember, we said last week, our goal constantly, on a daily basis, maybe on an hourly basis, but every day, you're expected to reconnect to before the Bria in order to draw light from there, to shine in the darkness of the many, in order to give you hope and light and simcha and joy and everything in order to connect to Hashem. We have to always do it, but it's in and out, in and out. That's the idea of the keter that we mentioned. You're expected, if you're holding at the level of accessing or wanting to access the keter, so then you're being expected to be in and out. Not just to live, like we said, the routine life, wake up in the morning, go to work, and then go back to sleep. We're looking now to shine light in this existence. I don't want to be a walking dead. I don't want to be the Grateful Dead, walking dead. I want to be alive. The Gemara says, the Zohar says many times, how people are walking with holes in their eyes and like walking dead. This statement appears a lot in the Gemara, a lot in the Midrash, a lot in the Zohar, that there are people who are alive, but they're really dead. They're alive, they eat, they sleep, they go to work, hi, how are you, good morning, and this and that, but they're really dead. They're dead, there's no connection, okay? And you have other people who are going through crazy things, but they're really alive. They're really, really alive, okay? I'm sorry to bring this up, but I just remember, if you remember, there was like a James Brown imitation. I'm sorry to bring this up, from Eddie Murphy, and he was imitating, I go in my hot tub, a person like, ooh, like you're in and out and burning. That's how life is. People who are really connected, they're always in and out. It's like, oh, burning, like we said, ping pong, but like uncomfortable. And you think, Hashem, what do you want from me? But that's the sign that you're in and out, in and out. Also, the person who's alive in the hospital, beep, beep, right? You see the heartbeat up and down. And then when he's dead, it's beep, beep means up, down, up, down, up, down, in and out, in and out. That's the life of a Jew who's trying to shine the infinite light into his life, that he's looking to shine light. He's going in and out, in and out. It's crazy. You think it's everybody, but there are many people, they've given up already, so they're not going through this. People who've given up, forget it. People who are looking for hope, looking for light, looking for a connection to God, a higher purpose, those are the ones who are in and out, who are having this fire in and out, okay? So to go back, Kol ikar haminyan v'amispar shebechinat ribui matchil achar habriya. All this is after creation. It explains what I'm saying. Ki achar habriya yesh kama gvanim ufratim. Because if you take a look, after creation started, there is the concept of many. Where do you see many? There's many colors. There's all these beautiful colors in creation: green, black, brown, purple, red, gray, orange, yellow, all the creations of the trees, the flowers, the sky, the sea, all these beautiful colors. Okay, there's so many colors. Upratim, in so many details. the Rocky Mountains, the forests, the Arctic, and then the animal domain, jungle, lions, tigers, bears, insects, vegetation, okay, air, water, just so many details, millions of details, and all the different types of people, and all the cells and molecules, etc. Doesn't end. So many details, okay? Visham shayach minyan shurak bimkom haribui. So counting applies only in the creation, because that's the place of many. Because there's an abundancy, there is this and that and many things. So there we understand the concept of counting, including number one. Okay, but now what's the problem? He says there's a problem here. How in the world? There's above number, and then from the above number comes the creation. Hashem made a creation from like above nothingness, from something which is above the concept of many and numbering and counting systems. So V'nosan says, "V'zeh hadavar I efshar lahasig b'shum da'at enoshi." Unbelievable, V'nosan. This concept of how the ribui, the many, is drawn from a singularity, from our perspective, which is really above the singularity, that we can't figure. How do you develop from like nothing, many? Okay? This is something that cannot be contemplated. This is a perception that cannot be understood by a human mind. You can't understand this. He's explaining better. How is it that the many, the abundancy, which is the idea of counting and numbering systems, how it's drawn from the root of the unity. The root, he says, the unity is one thing, and now the root of unity, which is above one, from that is drawn many. That we can't figure out at all. It goes against our logic. When you think about it, this is something you can't figure out. When you think 1, 2, 3, and then there's a nothingness. From a nothingness comes a many, a numbering. You can't figure it out. There's no possible way. That's why the scientists, they declare their Darwin's theory or whatever, that the world is always existing, and that they have no answer. They can't figure it out because they can't accept this. This goes against logic and rationale that all this is created from nothing. Doesn't make sense. It can't fit in the human logic. So they look for ways, atheistic ways to figure it out. But the truth is, I have to accept with Emunah that I can't understand this. That's the thing. Or you accept with Emunah that I don't know, which is hard for the skeptics because they think they know everything. They're learned. They went to university. I learned. I know. I'm an intellectual person, so I know and I can't figure it out. So therefore it must be wrong. Or there's the attitude of a believing person to believe I don't know everything. I think I know everything, but the reality is I don't know everything, and I accept that it's only Emunah that can get me through this dilemma and this quandary. Okay? איך נמשך הריבוי שהיא בחינת מניין ומספר ממקור אחדות דהיינו. And now Rav Nosson now is going to quote Rabbi Nachman from another lesson in Likutey Moharan. He's quoting now Likutey Moharan, part 2, lesson number 2. It's an amazing expression Rabbi Nachman uses. Dahainu, in other words, this is the concept of bechinat, the concept of peulot mishtanot shenimshachin me'echad hapashut yitbarach. The concept of how peulot mishtanot, varying actions, varying qualities, varying movements, and existences, very different and varying, shenim shachin, that are drawn from the single, simple, Yitbarach, blessed be He. It's hard to express it. The single, simple unity of Hashem, blessed be He. How from a single unity, pashut, which is like above numbering, like we said, is drawn many. How do you do that? How do you make from one all of a sudden a billion? Or from even above, before one, you make a trillion and billion. It's above our comprehension. We can't figure it out. It's something which is beyond logic. And the only way... Sorry?
Yeah, one last question. How did you know that he is referring to Likutey Moharan? Where do you? In my sefer, there's no reference.
I know my sefer also is not reference, but because I've been learning Breslov for almost 40 years, I'm used to it. I want to, these books, we have to, if you notice, I added some, I sent to the guy who printed this, like sources. I think he like told me you have to add here the verse from Kohelet, you have to add here section 9. I want to put here also that he should because you see you're asking a good question. How are you supposed to know that? So they should put it in this edition of Likutey Halakhot. I agree with you. We're trying to fix up the Breslov books.
Maybe I missed something. Okay.
No. The Breslov books need a lot of fixing up. We're trying. Listen, this is Breslov is around the books for 200 something years. They went through many difficulties until the books were printed with so many mistakes and printing errors and the printing system from 150 years ago, from the 1850, 1860, and now it's getting better and better. All the Breslov books have been published, but now we have to fix them up. So this expression, Rav Nosson uses this expression, but the expression is expressing best what he's trying to say. This is the idea that Rabbi Nachman brings elsewhere, like I said, lesson 2, part 2. Pe'ulot mishtanot shenimshachin me'echad hapashut yitbarach. That's the expression Rabbi Nachman uses. Ki zeh אי אפשר להשיג עכשיו מהדעת. Because this idea, again, like we said, how from a singular unit, or even better, above the singular, the root of the singular unit is drawn many, you can't at all figure it out logically. זה אי אפשר להשיג עכשיו מהדעת. Now, the way we are in our mindset, before the time of Mashiach, where our minds will be expanded to a totally different level. Now, as we are in the constricted mindset of creation, we can't figure this out at all in our da'at. Ki'im, like we said earlier, Ki'im be'emunah levad, but he adds a point here. Ki'im be'emunah levad shemamshichin lanu hatzaddikim hagdolim hanizkarim le'el shezochin la'sagat hatisha hechalin hanizkarim le'el. We have to explain. The only way we can accept this, like we said, and understand it, and live with it and understand it is by only through Emunah. But which Emunah? Emunah alone, that the greatest Tzaddikim draw to us. These Tzaddikim have reached the maximum level of their interface between the creation and the one, which means, this is pretty scary, between the beginning of number one and what's above that, these big tzaddikim reach that level. Crazy. This is really crazy. But these tzaddikim, in their perception, in them working on themselves, that's why they're called tzaddikim. They kill themselves to perfect themselves, to become more and more holy and righteous and pure. So they reach such a level in their perspective, in their perception, that they're able to connect all the way up to the one of the creation, where all the many is rooted in the one, and the wall that's separating from beyond, from the infinite light. They're already the one, like we said. Sorry, I have to explain. From our perspective, one already, from making 1 a billion, that's already illogical. So these tzaddikim, they connect to that wall. We can to better express it. Again, these are very delicate issues, but let's say that number one is basically what's called the keter, the interface wall between creation, us, and Hashem's infinite light. It's a one, it's a number, but it's really above the numbering. It's a one that's connected to what's beyond, that's before the numbering. These tzaddikim, they've mastered connecting that bridge through Emunah, okay? Through Emunah. And now what's the idea of the tzaddikim, these great tzaddikim? Is that for us little people, us nobodies, us people are trying to connect to Hashem with what I have. Hashem, it's not my fault that I'm brought up in North America and the culture and everything, and I'm trying to reconnect from here. Okay, I'm trying my best, Hashem. So who's there to extend a helping hand to help us to connect to Hashem through the right dosage and right perspective of Emunah? It's these tzaddikim. Why them? Because they worked super duper hard to get to that one, that keter, okay? And now they shine to us the message. You need Emunah for this. And you're going to need it big time in order to connect for what's beyond the one, which is the zero. And you're going to need that light, the infinite light, to shine into you. So we're telling you, that's like you say, we're giving you the Emunah that we've experienced. Now we give it to you in a more small, morseled format that you can handle, that you, little Joe Schmo, whatever, Kentucky Fried Chicken, whatever you went to. Sorry about that. It was the joke we said earlier. So whatever you connect, you're living in your existence, how far you are, these tzaddikim send all the way there a packaged level of emunah that you too can utilize to connect. Unbelievable. Okay? So he says, Rav Nosson, you need these tzaddikim to help you out. You need to support them. In other words, to believe in their teachings, to follow, to strive, to connect, to do something based on their teachings with simple emunah. And the main message they give to you is you're going to need this emunah in order to access the infinite light. They've done it, and now they're giving it to us in a format that we can handle it. So again, inside, only through emunah alone, levad, Rav Nosson indicates, the only way to get through this stage won't be intellect. If you think it's intellect, you're making a big mistake. This level is above the intellect, and it's only emunah, which stands above intellect. Like in the Kabbalah, you have Chokhmah, Binah, Da'at, right? Which is the top of the Sfirot, technically. And then you have a Malchut of the next level, the next dimension, where that Malchut is above Chokhmah, Binah, Da'at of the lower level. And this Malchut, the attitude of Malchut in the Sfirot, in the Kabbalah, is the attitude of Emunah. Emunah, just believing. And it's an Emunah which is above Chokhmah, Binah, Da'at. That's what you need here. So that's why he's saying it's above. This is the only way to access what's beyond the intellect is Emunah alone, that are drawn to us through the big tzaddikim that he mentioned above. Earlier in the discourse, Rav Nosson already touched upon this concept, so he's mentioning it again. Mentioned above, that these outstanding tzaddikim of an outstanding caliber, shezochin la'asagat tisha hechalin hanizkarim le'el. We have to explain now. They merit perceiving the 9 chambers mentioned above. What in the world? This 9 chambers is a very, very, very deep concept. Rabbi Nachman takes it in lesson 24, Likutey Moharan, from the Zohar. The Zohar, Parshat Noach, page 65a, which the Ben Ish Chai calls one of the deepest parts of the Zohar. Also, Rav Chaim Vital calls it that. And all the commentaries on this piece of the Zohar, it's like one little paragraph. They break their teeth and break their kumusim, their what's it called, their pens to explain it, because it's so deep, this section. And in that section, it talks about the concept of 9 chambers. Rabbi Nachman explains these 9 chambers are developed by the 3 sections of the mind, of the intellect, Chokhmah, Binah, Da'at, right, knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. That these 3, the person's mind, and the 3 faculties of the mind, when they smash into the keter, which is this wall, which is separating us from the infinite one. So by smashing, it causes them to be intertwined, intermingled, thus causing a multiplication format of 3 times 3 equals 9. In other words, these 9 here are due to Chokhmah, Binah, Da'at becoming intertwined. So there's Chokhmah of Chokhmah, and then Chokhmah of Binah, Chokhmah of Da'at. And then there's Binah of Binah, Binah of Chokhmah, Binah of Da'at. There's Da'at of Da'at, Da'at of Chokhmah, Da'at of Binah. Okay? So you have here combinations equal up to 9. And it's intermingled, meaning that you're like, whoa, like your mind is like not settled. It's so upside down in this scenario, and it can't be used. And yet, this is the kli, the vessel, by getting the mind upside down, mumbo jumbo, mumbled, it creates 9 new combinations. Normally you have 3, Chokhmah, Binah, Da'at. That's the mind's faculty. But when hit in a frustrating situation, drawn from the keter, the mind becomes, wait a second, I'm so messed up here. That causes the multiplication of 9. You say, okay, what did you gain? Hashem, what did you gain by doing this to me? What did he gain? That these 9 serve as a vessel now to contain with them access of the infinite light without your da'at involved. Because it's mingled, it's mumbled, it's all messed up. How could you have a perception when things are messed up? And yet, that's it, that's the whole thing. That you're not using your brain, and Hashem uses what's created as a 9 vessels, to put within them infinite light, but in a flash. It's in and out. Mate vela mate means it's in and out, there's a flash, and you have no idea what happened. But then after that experience, it becomes a part of your subconscious without you recognizing it, without you knowing it. Ideas have been put into your perspective of life, enhancing your connection to Hashem, not without you even knowing about it. That's how it works, okay? So now, the Tzaddikim, they've mastered the 9. That's them. They've reached the keter. They've mastered the 9. And they show us the only way to get through this point is through the Emunah. Coming up, Rav Nosson, besides what Rabbi Nachman explains in Likutey Moharan, how it's 3 times 3 equals 9, he's going to show us how 9, the numbering system, is up to 9. Because once you reach 10, it's like starting again at 1. Just that's at the next level. 10, 11, 12, 13, until you get to 20, right? So then every 19, 29, every time you reach 9, you go back to 1 again. Always going back to 1, showing that 9, the whole world, the whole system of numbering is maximum 9. Everything is then a repeat at different levels, but a repetition. Like we said, 9, and then 19, 29, then you have 1, 10, right, 100, 1,000. It's all going back to 1 again, always going back to 1, because it's up to 9 and that's it, okay? So, but we're not going to that yet. Let's just continue what Rav Nosson is trying to say. So Nosson saying these Tzaddikim, because they've reached a good, clear perception of the 9 chambers. It's called 9 chambers. The dat, the Chokhmah Binah dat, which is sfirot, which is something technically tangible. When they get bashed into the keter, and then they get mumbled, so they're not usable anymore as Chokhmah Binah dat, even though they become multiplied and mixed in, but it's incomprehensible. So what is it good for? Like we said, yeah?
Yeah, but isn't that is not usually included, and if you include that, then it does it go back to 10?
There's 9. Watch. Chokhmah Binah. Okay, there's Chokhmah Binah dat, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, without Malchut. Why? Because Malchut can be keter, is the keter. Each, in Kabbalah, Malchut of an upper world is keter of the lower world. So really, Malchut and keter is above. It's like the number 10. It's number 10, but it's really above numbering. Because we said, it's like going back. It's like keter is yet keter, but it's also Malchut. It's like, so it jumps from like 10 to 1.
Right.
So really there's 9.
So keter is both. So keter can be both, Malchut can be both.
Yeah, keter is Malchut. We call keter Malchut. In Pshat, keter Melucha, a crown of a king. So showing that Malchut and keter are always connected. So even though you get to Malchut, but it's really keter. So what is it? Is it 10 or is it 1? It's both. So if it's
what
both,
letter is it?
Yeah.
And Kabbalah, the Zohar has what letter connects directly down from keter to Malchut? Is there any meaning between what letter is actually that line straight down? It's the only one that goes straight down through all of them. You connect keter to Malchut straight.
You're talking about a specific letter?
Yeah, there's a letter.
I'd have to check it out. If you have any of the BRI, Breslov Research Institute.
Yeah.
So look at the back. There's many appendixes there on like the different. We have to take a look. I don't have it in front of me. I'm so sorry. We have to take a look there. We have to get more clarification on which letters correspond to what there.
I had actually my phone.
All right. But going back, based on all this, there's only 9. There's only 9 because the 10 is connected to the 1. Malchut keter. So if it's going back, like we said, there's only 9. So these are called 9 chambers. He calls it Tisha Hechalim. He switched from Chokhmah Binah dat, multiplied 3 times 3 becomes 9. It's no longer Chokhmah Binah dat. They're chambers because you can't use them for Chokhmah Binah dat. So they're chambers for what? A chamber is like a room. It's like a vessel. It's a Hechal. Hechal by the word. Take a look at Hechal. In the word Hey, Yud, Chaf Lamed, you have the word Kli, vessel. A Hechal is a vessel with the letter Hey, of course, right? Hey is Emunah, and the Kli developed by that Emunah. That's what a Hechal is. Hechal is really a vessel with the letter Hey. That's why he calls it. Rabbi Nachman calls it a Hechal. The Zohar calls it a Hechal because it's a vessel for that Emunah, through that Emunah, and for more Emunah, B'ezrat Hashem. And then the keter shines infinite light. All Emunah, everything here is Emunah, no brain. That's what the Tzaddikim are teaching us. Stop trying to think when you get to these difficult situations. It's an opportunity. Hashem is trying to open you up to something new. You have to just let go, resort back to Emunah mode, and accept it b'emunah, and not to be broken, not to be, oh, how could Hashem do this? What happened? Stop asking questions about what's going on. Just go with, close your eyes, let go with an emunah. The only way you can do that is if you receive that emunah from the tzaddikim. If on your own you'll never get to it, because you always be stuck in the intellectual understanding, intellect, because you're just reading books. But when tzaddikim come along and tell you, hey, we're telling you, stop, let go, emunah mode, so then you're able to accept that, and then you get the cheese, you get the cake, you get the reward of the infinite life, B'ezrat Hashem. Okay? I just went up a few lines. כי אם באמונה לבד שממשיכים לנו הצדיקים הגדולים הנ"ל, שזוכים להשגת התשע היכלין הנ"ל, as mentioned above. And now he explains. כי אלו הצדיקים הזוכים להשגה זאת, because these tzaddikim of this outstanding caliber, these great tzaddikim, who merit to this perception of the keter, of what's beyond the one and before numbering, before the creation, they reach this perception. So now, by them reaching that perception, they're actually helping us. Look what they do. Hem kolelin umyachadin klaliyut habriya shebechinat mispar uminyan shehu bebchinat achar habriya kanizkar le'el. This is unbelievable what he's going to say here. Okay, these tzaddikim, when they do reach this perception, they're able then to generalize, make all-inclusive, kolel, all-inclusive and unify the whole variations of the creation, all the numberings, all the different colors, all the different details of the creation, which are all connected to numbering and counting systems, shei bechinat mispar uminyan, which is the concept of counting and numberings, which is, in other words, shehu bechinat achar habriya, the whole after the creation point. There's the initial creation of God, and then what's the result, the actual creation, kanizkar le'el, mentioned above. All of this, hem kolelin hakol bekodem habriya b'shorsh achdut. Their job is not just a personal quest, a personal accomplishment. They're looking to help the whole creation to connect. Anyone in the creation, if they just want to, and they do the right things, and they follow the advice of the tzaddikim, they can connect. Because what do the tzaddikim do? Like we said, they take the all-inclusiveness of the creation, after creation, and make it included and connected to before the creation, in the root of the unity. Okay, they're bridging. They're the ones bridging accessibility of the infinite light to the creation. But like we said, it can't be fixed, because the creation will disappear. Finite to become unified with infinite, it'll disappear. It'll become infinite again. It'll disappear. It has to be again in and out, in and out, in and out. But they're doing it. They're managing it. The tzaddikim, they have the whole creation, if they want to, when available, when ready, in the format of in and out, they connect the whole creation to before the creation. Okay? Again, why? כי הם משיגים השגת אלוקותו ואחדותו יתברך ויתעלה בבחינת מטה ולמטה. Because these tzaddikim, they're able to perceive perceptions of Hashem's godliness and His unity. Blessed be He. Rav Nosson is beautiful. Yitbarach v'yit'aleh. He's like really praising Hashem's high aboveness above everything else. Blessed be He, and above everything, blessed be He. But these tzaddikim reach it in such an amazing level of mate vela mate. They're so experts in and out. Average person, when in and out, he gets broken. It's normal. In and out, we're just broken. You know, I thought I was inside and then they pushed me back. So we take it negative. These tzaddikim, they reach such a level that when they get pushed out, they don't feel anything. They've mastered it so much, they don't feel it as being out. Even though it is technically out compared to what they're normally used to at their high level, even though they get pushed out, they're still holding at such a high level of Emunah and Simcha. We have to remember that point of the Simcha, that the Simcha and Emunah is so strong by them that they don't feel the pinch. They're out. Fine, they're out compared to vis-a-vis their normal level, their high level. But for them, their out is still it's highly refined and perfected. For what purpose? For us. For us. That now that they've reached Mate Velamate in and out at such a high level, they can now bridge the infinite light of before creation to the creation. So that when we, little us, we try to do this also. We tried our low levels to try to get back up and we get pushed down. We try to get back up and start again, pushed down, in and out, in one day, in 1 hour, tons of times. But yet, it's accessible. There's something there. So it's thanks to that these tzaddikim already made that bridge for you. They made that bridge to their mate velamate, to their in and out. So they allowed a connection to exist, again in and out, temporarily, but now it's accessible for even simple people like us. Okay? השגת הליקותו ואחדותו יתברך ויתעלה בבחינת מטה ולמטה, בבחינת, and he's again using similar terms, in the concept of redifa ume'akev. This is another term Rabbi Nachman uses in lesson 24, in the concept of running and then being bounced back, being prevented, being, what's the word in English? Detained, delayed, detained, okay? Redifa ume'akev, running and then being prevented from going forward. That's another term from mate velamate. Until it's made by them, the tzaddikim, the 9 chambers as mentioned above. So again, even though this is, technically speaking, possible, potentially, for every Jew, every person to connect to this, Rav Nosson is saying that the tzaddikim are outstanding in this area, that they've reached it at such a strong level, that they reach, because Rav Nosson's term is, they've reached to connect the whole creation to before the creation. It's not like now just a perception. They go now to the beginning of perception, the beginning of creation. They go so high, the tzaddikim, to take everything, not in their lifetime only, but what happened all the way from Adam Arishon, they reached that level. They've reached that level to the beginning point of the creation, and now they're able to bridge. Whereas us, in our personal lives, we're looking to shine the keter, the infinite light, etc., for our difficulties and our struggles to shine light in our little constriction. These tzaddikim, they've passed that. They passed their little lifespan, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 7 years, whatever it is. They've gone beyond that to now connect to their life, to the whole timeline of history, that when time and numbering began, all the way to Adam Arishon, and from there to connect with that bridge. Phenomenal. Okay? What comes out here is just a practical point again, is we need these tzaddikim in our lives, and we need to heed to their call of having Emunah, of strengthening the Emunah, because that will be the key to get to what we need to get to, B'ezrat Hashem. Oof, that was hard. We'll stop here. B'ezrat Hashem. Hopefully we'll continue, I hope, B'ezrat Hashem, next week. This is really amazing. It's amazing stuff. But if you really want to internalize it, again, I really suggest utilizing the 40-day challenge on this lesson. The Bridge Likutey Moharan, Rav Nosson's prayer, and if you're at the level also the actual Likutey Moharan lesson. We all have that in the link that I created, the tree link. It's lesson 2424.breslovtherapy, BRESLOV therapy.com. There you have the access to all these things, the 40-day challenge, the PDF file of the Likutey Moharan translated in English, with the BRI commentary, etc., etc., and all these classes, audio, video, podcasts, etc. All right, to be continued.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Hashem. Thank you, Rabbi Nachman. Thank you, Rav Nosson. Such amazing teachings. Give us such life in our exile, in our difficulties, to have such a boost, and then hopefully to take it for the upcoming week, for all the challenges.
The next chapter.
Yeah, until the next chapter. Right. Okay.
Thank you.
Chazak.
Bye.
Chazak.